So hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new series here on the channel. F1 Manager 23 is here, and we've been deciding very hard on which team we are going to take over. And as I'm recording this, it's the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend, and Otmar Szafnauer has left Alpine. So who better to take over than a man who has a World Championship on his CV from F1 Manager 22. It's going to be a great one this. Let's get into it. So are we excited for this one? We certainly are. Alpine, here we are, our first day as team principal. The season objective is to finish 5th or above in the Constructors, and the long-term objective, as we know, is to become a Constructors champion. A lot of work to do before we get there. Let's delve into it. Let's make it as quick as possible. You don't want me droning on forever. Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, two very, very decent drivers. Two French drivers, of course, for the French team. Very excited to have these two, especially Pierre Gasly returning with me on F1 Manager 23 as he was on F1 Manager 22. If we have a look at the facilities, there's a lot of work to be done, especially in the car development facilities. We can see the factory's only on level 2, as is the design centre, the wind tunnel. So these are all areas that I'm going to be getting cracking on with straight away. We need to improve the Ensto outfit. But this background, by the way, look at this. We can see it in sort of 3D. That's fantastic. If we have a look at the car, the all-important car analysis, let's have a look where we are in comparison to other teams on the grid. Of course, this is showing the actual car, not the team position. So 11th and 9th, I would suggest we're probably the 5th best car. That's what we are. We've got to get some work done to make our way towards the top and close the gap on the Red Bulls, the Ferraris, the Mercedes of this world. Staff-wise, we've got some added ones this year. We've got a sporting director who's in charge of all the pit stop performance, things like that. So that's going to be very important. We've got a very good sporting director in Alan Permain, so we're very happy with him. Matt Harmon, possibly the weak link, you would say, and also Pierre Gasly's race engineer, not the best, but we'll give everybody a fair chance. Everybody gets a clean slate as we've come on board. 37 million in the bank. I'm going to start spending some of that, get some upgrades on the car, and I'll see you just before we start the Bahrain Grand Prix and the opening race of this new season. Right then, so we're just about to get in to the first race weekend, but let's show you what we've been doing. So, car parts development, we've got a new underfloor, a new front wing, and new side pods all coming in around a couple of weeks' time. So in a fortnight, we should see some upgrades coming on the car. They're not going to make massive differences to our pace early on, but it'll just bring us up closer to where we want to be. We've got a lot of work to do here at Alpine. And this signifies it as well. If we have a look at the staff, we've got a new pit crew training centre. And our pit crew, not the best in the world, it must be said. 59 out of 90. A lot of work to do for the sporting director as well. So we've got a balanced training schedule for the moment. We'll adapt this as we go along, but we might as well keep it balanced for the time being. And just to bring you a little update on what the driver development's like this time as well. It's a very different standard of development focus. This is how we're doing it now. We can do it on pace, long runs, short runs, race strategy. So it's a lot more advanced this year, and I'm really looking forward to this little bit more. It's a bit more like Football Manager now, I suppose, that little bit more level of detail that we're going to do. But this weekend, the opening weekend, we head to Bahrain and Sakhir. And it's 57 laps around here. Pedro de la Rosa holds the lap record. Cost attributes, acceleration and low speed cornering. Again, about 5th best car we are at this moment in time. Expected strategy is a 2-stop. Softs and mediums seem to be the optimal tyre. So ladies and gentlemen, as the manager of Alpine, the team principal of Alpine, let's get this season underway.
Welcome to Bahrain, ladies and gentlemen. F1 is back. As we start a brand new season, the slate is wiped clean, and all 20 drivers prepare to make an instant impact ahead of an exciting year. The Bahrain International Circuit is a challenging track, and the cars routinely have to brake from high gear to low to take the narrow turns. With the need for downhill braking, the risk of locking up is one drivers will need to manage. It's all about focus and balance to get victory here. There's now a rookie on the McLaren team, which is both an opportunity and a challenge. That's all here. Now back to the action.
So here we are then, final laps in Q2, and it is our first qualifying session of the season. Esteban Ocon coming around the final corner, currently in P9, not improving on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Esteban Ocon up to the line, isn't going to improve, I don't believe. It's good enough for P9 at the moment, but Pierre Gasly charging along. Can he make Q3, sorry? Gasly doesn't. Esteban Ocon is into Q3, but Pierre Gasly loses the first qualifying battle of the season. You join us back, final lap in Q3, Pierre Gasly. He is on a set of tyres that are just one lap old. I wanted to save both sets of fresh compound tyres for the race. Will he manage to improve on P10? But by the way, how good is this visor cam? My word, this is going to add to the series, isn't it? But he's up to P8, Esteban Ocon up to P8, and he's got 2 sets of fresh soft compound tyres for tomorrow's race. That is a superb performance for Esteban Ocon. And so there we have it then, qualifying 3 results, and Max Verstappen is on pole. Did anybody expect any different? I certainly didn't. Verstappen on pole, Leclerc in P2, Perez P3, Alonso in the Aston Martin in P4, Sainz P5, Stroll P6, Hamilton 7th, Ocon 8th, Hülkenberg 9th, and George Russell all the way down in the Mercedes in P10, Pierre Gasly P11. Let's get to the strategies. Right then, ladies and gents, 8th and 11th. We aren't going to do anything too drastic here. The hard compound tyre isn't optimal anyway. It's basically which tyre do you want to start on. I'd rather them both get off the line pretty well. So we can see 1:31.38 is the estimated race time for this strategy. That seems to be the optimal. It's a, second quicker? Second slow? No, that's rubbish. That's fucking... First strategy of the season. So, 8th and 11th, we saw before the race, we saw that soft and mediums were the optimum compounds. It's basically which tyres you want to start on. We're going to start Esteban. He's going to be starting on the soft as well. That's an error. So, both of guys starting on the softs, then going on to the mediums towards the end. We may change that with Pierre. We've got the option to do that. Obviously, safety car dependent. We will be adaptable. But can we score double points? I'd be delighted with that if we could on our first race here in Bahrain for the first time this season and this series. Let's get to 5 red lights.
Secure, the floodlights are on, and it's nearly time for 57 laps around the Bahrain International Circuit. We look now to Esteban Ocon, who's clearly ready and raring to go.
Starting P8 is decent for them. Provided they keep the race clean, there's points on the table.
And it'll be exciting to see just what will happen here today. And this is it, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we are looking at that man, Esteban Ocon. He's got a difficult start. As you can see, Hülkenberg on his outside. Is he going to manage to keep P8 into turn 1? Gasly's tucked up. Gasly's actually fighting with the Mercedes of George Russell at this moment in time. And in fact, Pierre Gasly has made the move on George Russell. Great start from Pierre Gasly, overtaking a Mercedes. Ocon keeps P8, Gasly in P10. Meanwhile, at the front, we can see Verstappen got away well, but Checo Perez is following him in that Red Bull. Both Red Bulls, I believe, on the soft compound tyre. Leclerc on the medium, Sainz on the soft compound tyre. Split strategy from the Ferrari boys. Stroll and Alonso, P5, P6. Again, split strategies for them. Hamilton in P7. Ocon has got to do his best now to keep in touching distance of Lewis Hamilton. Hulkenberg in P9 and Gasly in P10. But Gasly is under pressure from George Russell. And as we switch to the visor cam, because this is a camera we're going to be using a fair bit of, we can see George Russell has made that place back on Pierre Gasly. Gasly's not too happy with that. We'll have a little look at the replay.
It was George
And
Russell
George Russell dives to the inside. To be fair, it's a lovely looking overtake from George Russell. Keeps his nose in. Gasly has to go a little bit wider, allow him just enough space. And Russell is through up into P10. I don't believe Pierre Gasly's fight is with George Russell this afternoon, it must be said. So as we come towards the end of our first lap of the season, who else but Max Verstappen is leading. Perez in P2, already breaking the DRS to the Ferraris, who seem to be more interested in fighting each other rather than keeping up with the Red Bulls. Ocon already lost a lot of time to Lewis Hamilton. I think it's clear to see we haven't got the pace of these Mercs today, but Pierre Gasly has got to stay in this little battle with Ocon and George Russell. Hülkenberg has overtaken Ocon, and now we're looking at Esteban Ocon, who's trying to come back, to be fair, at Nico Hülkenberg. If it's anything like real life, maybe the Haas's will use its tyres up very quickly. But then again, if it's anything like real life, maybe the Alpines, we might have a couple of DNFs. But not the best start for us, 10th and 11th as things stand. Early doors in our time as team principal, and already we are making team orders. Pierre Gasly has been told he does not overtake Esteban Ocon at this moment. What he's got to do is stay in the DRS train, which he is doing of Hülkenberg. Russell is not going to be happy at this, by the way. George Russell being held up by that Haas of Nico Hülkenberg, and it's not ideal at all for him. He cannot make the progress and use the pace that Mercedes so clearly has. Meanwhile, we're just latching onto the bike. We've broke the DRS to De Vries, which is something we really wanted to do. So fair play to both our guys doing that particularly well. We have got a yellow flag on circuit. And I'm hoping we're going to get a replay. I can see a car in front. Ferrari. Charles Leclerc looks like he's had a mistake. Let's have a little look at what he's done. He's just locked up, gone straight on, and that's lost him a lot of positions. Ferrari, it seems, are having the bad luck and the mistakes in this game as well, but we'll take it because that then promotes us further up. That promotes us into 9th and 10th. Great for us. Shocking for Ferrari. The mistakes are starting to come, but not from us. Logan Sargent in to the final corner. Has a spin. The Alpha Tauri avoids it, as does Oscar Piastri. And that little team radio just about sums it up from Logan Sargent and the Williams garage. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Logan Sargent causing a few tears there in the Williams garage. Meanwhile, Checo Perez is the man who now leads the Bahrain Grand Prix, and he's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Fair play to Checo Perez. That's great work from him. Carlos Sainz now the only Ferrari running in the points paying position. Stroll in P4. Hamilton working his way up into P5. Alonso P6. Hülkenberg in P7. Then comes Russell ourselves with Ocon in at A9 and Gasly in P10. Going his back on lap 11. Max Verstappen back in the lead of the Grand Prix. And to be fair, this is looking like it's going to be a long time before any of us catch up to the Red Bulls, as it was at the start of the season in real life. Verstappen and Perez absolutely bossing proceedings here. 7.5 seconds gap to Sainz in P3. Stroll's doing very well in P4. Hamilton P5. Alonso P6. Nico Hülkenberg is holding up George Russell. An absolute treat. Ocon in P9. Gasly P10. All the way at the back we can see Logan Sargent in P20, who looks like he's driving a Nissan Micra rather than a Formula 1 car. Charles Leclerc, again, just that mistake from him has really ruined his race. He will be very disappointed, will the man from Monaco. And on lap 14, George Russell has finally been put out of his misery. He is up into P7. He's got past Nico Hülkenberg, and I think that's the last we'll see of George Russell for a long time in this race, lap 14. First pit stop of the season for Alpine, and it is Esteban Ocon who is in to the pit lane. We're going to tell Pierre Gasly to get on with it now, but Esteban Ocon is in. Let's have a look. We are one of the later ones to pit, it must be said. We can see George Russell's already pit. Let's have a look at how we get on here. It's a 2.6 second pit stop. It's not the end of the world. And Esteban Ocon, let's see where he manages to come out here. This is all important as he trundles down the pit lane at a very slow speed. Let's have a little look as he comes out onto the circuit. He comes out just in front of Oscar Piastri. We even get the top 10 pit stops now. Fantastic work that. Esteban Ocon back out, 2.5 seconds gap to Russell. Mind while that's happening, I was just getting a bit concerned with all the swearing on the radio from Pierre Gasly, who managed to get overtaken by Carlos Sainz, who's already made his pit stop. He's on the fresher tyres. Pierre, I'm not too upset about that. We'll come back for Pierre's pit stop. In the box comes Pierre Gasly. We're just quickly watching Lance Stroll's pit stop, which is a very slow one. Pierre Gasly is into the pits. Now, we've swapped it. He's going onto the medium compounder tyre, is Pierre Gasly. We're going to try something a little bit different in our first race here. We're going to split the strategies, and Gasly is back out. 2.6 seconds. We are nothing but consistent. Now, where is Esteban Ocon as Pierre Gasly trundles out of the pit lane? We can see Ocon coming down the pit straight. Pierre Gasly is out. And Pierre Gasly, I believe, will be in front of Esteban Ocon, but we will let Esteban use his tyres. Gasly will let Ocon through, as he has done, and now we can latch onto the back of Esteban Ocon, and hopefully Ocon can use his pace now and pull us along, lap 20. And that little plan of latching onto the back of Ocon didn't quite work because Gasly could not keep up with Esteban, and Charles Leclerc, who we saw spin early in the Grand Prix, took an early pit stop, has just got past now, and we're hoping Pierre can latch on to the back of that Ferrari. So, fair play to Ferrari, they've got that right. Leclerc's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's absolutely flying. Hopefully Esteban now can hold on to the back of Charles Leclerc. That would be ideal. Meanwhile, we're still looking at the cars in front. We've got a few cars that haven't pit yet. Hulkenberg, Albon, De Vries, Tsunoda, and Norris yet to pit. So we will move back up into the top 10. And on these fresh tyres, we are feeling a little bit more comfortable. Interesting in the fuel aspects of this as well. The fuel, we are comfortable on fuel, which is something else we can have a little look at. But Pierre Gasly cannot keep up with Charles Leclerc. That Ferrari is flying on lap 21. And on lap 22, I don't think anyone is having a more miserable day than George Russell. He's got held up by De Vries and Tsunoda. He's in this little DRS train, and it's allowed Esteban Ocon to pull right up to the back of him. And Esteban Ocon now is well in the fight with George Russell as these two Alpha Tauris getting in the way. I thought Esteban were going to go for him there. He didn't, unfortunately. But Esteban Ocon, as we switch to the visor cam, looking left and right. This is one hell of a camera. Can't quite get past him at this moment, but looks very, very quick. I don't know if George Russell's got an issue, but we are right on the back of the Mercedes here of George Russell. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly is trying to catch up to the back of Magnussen, and we're going to be telling him in a moment. In fact, we're going to tell him now. Start pushing a little bit. And we are now going to be pushing with Gasly to catch back up to Magnussen. Interestingly, we are massively in front of Nico Hulkenberg, who was in front of us a little bit earlier in the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, at the front, Max Verstappen, 10-second gap to Checo Perez. Ridiculous. Lap 25, we can see Esteban Ocon overtaking George Russell. I don't know if George Russell's tyres just cooked. He massively brakes. There seems to be something seriously wrong with George Russell's car. And Esteban Ocon just floats past him in P10. That's beautiful work from Pierre. He's now on the back of Charles Leclerc. And credit to Alexander Albon, ladies and gentlemen. Put in the comments, because Alexander Albon is doing what he so often does in real life. He's on an alternate strategy. He looks like he's going for a one-stop from mediums onto hards, and he's currently sitting in P7, which has allowed us to catch up to him. And now Esteban Ocon, he's also having a look at him as well. Let's have a little look from his point of view. But in a straight line, that Williams looks absolutely rapid. And we're ducking left and right. It's great work from Alexander Albon. Fantastic work from him. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly trying to keep up with this little batch of cars on the medium compound tyre. He needs to get up with Magnussen pretty quickly. But Ocon, I'm fancying probably 7th here. 7th or 8th, I think, could be on the cards. Lap 26. Alexander Albon, the moving roadblock. Charles Leclerc negotiated it on the start-finish straight. We did everything we could with Esteban Ocon to get past him, and we certainly did. We got that little helping of DRS as well, which has allowed us, touch wood, to catch back up with Charles Leclerc. We've been deploying on the ERS, pushing on the fuel, and we are now back up with Charles Leclerc, so hopefully that can push Esteban along. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly is still sat in this train. Esteban is behind Magnussen and behind Albon. He's going to lose time here, but remember, he's going to be on the fresher tyres. It may come to Pierre Gasly at the end of this race. Gap at the top now is 13 seconds between Checo and Verstappen. Sainz in P3, Stroll P4, fastest lap of the Grand Prix in the Aston Martin. Hamilton P5, Alonso P6, then comes Leclerc in P7. Lap 33, Verstappen has just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's nearly a pit stop now in front of Checo Perez. There's not much I can say about this apart from it's going to be a long road to catch Red Bull. Meanwhile, Leclerc got past Ocon. We couldn't quite keep with him. Ocon's dropped off a little bit now as the tyres are fading. Russell's coming on strong on the mediums. Gasly seems to have fell off a cliff here in P11. He's nursing the tyres well, but just can't seem to keep the pace. I mean, if we have a look at the last lap times, 1:38.3 for Pierre Gasly, plays 1:37.9 for Magnussen, although he has got DRS. So, to be fair to Pierre, he will be quicker at the end. Maybe we can work with that. But meanwhile, Esteban Ocon doing okay in P8 at the moment. P9 is really the minimum I would want today. I wouldn't want to get beat by the Haas, but I've got a funny feeling he might get overtaken here by George Russell as we ride on board with George Russell, who's going to have DRS down this straight. Will he manage to make the overtake here? He's looking to the inside, doesn't quite manage to do it. It's still P8 for Esteban Ocon. Ocon is in to the pits. George Russell obviously going a little bit longer. We are going to get to use these new tyres here with Esteban Ocon. That's going to be the idea. We haven't had great pace on the mediums. Pierre Gasly's shown that, but let's have a look. Do we get a decent pit stop? 2.3. Oh my word, what is happening in the pit box? We've got a serious problem. 6.68 seconds stop could just have ruled us out of points. Let's have a look at this pit stop issue. Let's have a look at this because this has killed us. I'm not quite sure where, but we've had a serious issue there in the pit stops, and that might just have killed Esteban's race. 6.6 seconds is not good enough at all. I think me and the sporting director are going to be having a few words after this race. But Pierre Gasly now up into P9. What can he do on the soft compound tyre a little bit later on? Because we may be hinging on him. Ocon, a lot of work to do now, lap 39. However, on lap 40, this might be helping us a little bit. Magnussen, one of the cars we were battling with, has spun out into the final corner. He spun out. Russell carried on. Verstappen, we're just keeping an eye on this. Will he come out in front of his teammate? He won't, but he won't be too far behind. He'll come out comfortably in P2. Perez will be well behind when he pits. Meanwhile, a couple of people pitting as well. Zhou Guanyu had a pit stop issue. He's now at the back. And we're now looking at Pierre Gasly. He's going to be coming in next lap. And in comes Pierre Gasly, lap 40 onto the soft compounder tyre. Now this has got to be a decent pit stop. We've already had his error. Surely we've got it out of his system. It's a shame we didn't manage to block Russell off in the pits. Not that we should be doing that, but that's a better stop from the team. 2.6 seconds for Pierre Gasly. Let's have a look at where he comes out here. I'm hoping he's going to come out not too far behind Lando Norris. Magnussen, even with that spin, has come out in front of him, and Magnussen has pit as well. So a lot of work to do now for our two guys to get back up into the points. I don't believe Lando Norris has pit yet, so P10 is definitely still on the cards. Hulkenberg may be able to be caught by Esteban. Lap 41. Lap 44, important move from Pierre Gasly, getting past Lando Norris. Let's have a little look at this. On the outside, into turn 1. Norris squeezes him, but we do manage to get up into P11 with Pierre Gasly now. State of play is this. Ocon is in P10, Gasly in P11. We've got a decent gap to us and Hulkenberg. We are going to score 1 point today. It's whether we can catch Kevin Magnussen, who is on the soft compounder tyre. I would be tempted to switch over Ocon and Gasly and let Pierre run us up to the back of Kevin Magnussen. But we'll keep an eye on things. Lap 44. Lap 51. Pierre Gasly got past Ocon fair and square on track. We decided to let that happen. We didn't want to really affect that race. We thought Gasly had the pace. He has. The disappointing thing is Esteban Ocon's pace. He's not managed to keep up with Pierre, and that has cost him badly in this race. He's now looking at a final push possibly on Nico Hulkenberg towards the end. Not that it matters. We're not fighting for points now. But Esteban Ocon, it's going to be disappointment for him today, and it's all been caused by that pit stop. As a team, we must do better. Otmar Szafnauer, that's why he got sacked, and that's why possibly there's some work to be done here. But as we're coming towards the final laps, Verstappen's leading from Perez. We'll come back on the final lap, but it looks like we are going to score a point in Bahrain on our opening race as team principal. So here we are then. Max Verstappen, he's going to cross the line just behind Nico Hulkenberg. He crosses the line to win the first race of the season by some distance. Ocon has finished P12, but Pierre Gasly is in a battle for P9. And can Pierre Gasly managed to get Kevin Magnussen? We're going to tell him to deploy. We're going to tell him to push on the fuel. Here we go. First race of the season, and we have got an opportunity on the last lap to get an extra point for the team. It would be absolutely huge in our battle. Haas will be one of the teams we will be battling against. Let's have a look if Pierre Gasly can get this position onto this next DRS straight. I don't want him to go for it into this corner, and he isn't doing. He's going to have to go for it on this DRS straight as he comes around that bend. He gets a decent exit. We switch to visor cam because why not? And now Pierre Gasly, he's going to overtake Kevin Magnussen. What a move from Pierre Gasly. He's got the DRS, we know that. But we're going to get P9. We've got all the ERS to use. The tyres are a little bit done, but I believe Magnussen's are a lot more cooked than ours are. We don't need to watch that replay again. But another couple of corners and we will score points for Alpine. And to be fair, if you watch the last series on F1 Manager 22 with Pierre Gasly, I absolutely loved him as a driver on that Aston Martin. I've got him again this year, and Pierre Gasly on his first race for Alpine delivers for me and gets some points for the team at Enstone. Great work for Pierre. Let's get to the podium celebrations.
Most people expected them to really deliver here, but it's a disappointing finish outside the points.
And no doubt, Verstappen fans will be celebrating the Dutchman's achievement.
Their first win of the season, and the team looking on will be very proud, I'm sure.
And we've certainly kicked things off in style here at the Bahrain Grand Prix.
So just as in real life, Max Verstappen dominant in Bahrain. Fantastic from him. 133.2. Absolutely superb. Perez P2, Red Bull dominance, Carlos Sainz P3 making up the podium, Alonso and Stroll, the Aston Martins P4 and 5, Hamilton P6, Leclerc P7, Russell P8, Gasly P9. We saw a very dejected Esteban Ocon getting out of the car there, and who can blame him? It was a very difficult day, all down to that very dodgy pit stop. The most pointless drivers table of the season, but we can see Max Verstappen does get the full 26 points from the weekend. Leading the drivers' standings. Constructors wise, Red Bull of course on top, 44, Aston Martin second, and we are in P5. Finish the season P5, we might not get sacked. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's the start of a new series. I appreciate it's a bit of a longer video as you would expect. It's going to be every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 AM these come out, as it was on the last one. I hope you can join us for them. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Ta-ra!